Greetings, Exiles. Welcome back to the channel. My name is BullShifter, and these are my first impressions of the new Conquerors of the Atlas content and the Metamorph League. Before we start the video, I'd just like to say something really exciting is kind of going on. We are very, very close to 2,000 subscribers. It'd be a really awesome milestone to hit, so if you'd like to help me out, please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, and definitely like this video if you in fact do like this video. It goes a long ways and it would really mean a lot to me, and thank you for all of your continued support. With that out of the way, let's just jump right into it. So I was really excited about this new league when I first started reading about it. I thought that the league mechanics kind of were better for console than what some of the past league mechanics were, especially with Blight League, with a lot of enemies on and effects that were on the screen, and the performance issues that console already had. It kind of just brought a lot of issues to the forefront and just made things perform even worse than they were already performing. With this new league, Metamorph, concentrating everything into just one boss character who has a few random adds throughout the fight, I feel like caters itself to console players a lot more. One, the league mechanics are relatively simplistic, and I'll kind of get into the basics of it, and I'll make a more in-depth video about the league mechanics at a later date. But the league mechanics are relatively simplistic, they're rewarding, and most of all, they're fun. They don't stress out the PS4 too much. I'm assuming the same can be said for the Xbox One. The infrastructure just handles it a lot better than what it was able to handle Blight League on. So the performance itself is a lot better than it was last league. Now, when I first started the league, I did run into some performance issues. I found out, however, that was on my end. I had boost mode enabled on my PS4 Pro, so if you're playing this game on a PS4 Pro and you're seeing a lot of lag, make sure to go into your system settings and check and see if you have boost mode on. For whatever reason, it slows this game down a ton. So just be careful of that. It is something that can affect your gameplay, so if you're running into that on your PS4, definitely go ahead and turn that off. I saw instant change as soon as I turned that off. The game performed much, much better. So I ran into a couple of other weird things, admittedly, within the first couple of acts. I did have one time where the game froze up. I had to close out of the application. I reopened it. It didn't want to load. I closed it again, and then it loaded. Everything was fine after that. I've been fortunate enough to not have any of the infamous blue screens that we've talked so much about in the past. I've only rubber banded once. Granted, I am still relatively early in the acts, so I've really only seen so many enemies on the screen at once, so it'll be interesting to see once I start mapping and once more enemies are on the screen, how that'll affect gameplay at that point, and if the rubber banding is still kind of a major issue like it was before. However, for the most part, so far, at least in the early game, performance does seem to be a lot better with the game in general, which makes me really happy. Now, a few of the new things that we've gotten with the actual content update itself. We've gotten a new loading screen, which looks kind of cool. I'm assuming those are the 5 Exiles that they mentioned in the storyline, which is the other main thing that's changed. Once you do get to endgame, the Shaper Elder storyline is over. So now you're actually fighting 5 corrupt Exiles who essentially have spent too much time in the Atlas. A few other things that we've gotten with the new content update. We actually can create our own loot filters now on the Path of Exile website and then upload them essentially to the game itself. So we can actually customize loot filters online now through the website. That is a huge, huge feature for us to have, and I'm really happy that we've finally gotten that on consoles. One other thing that's changing, the Atlas has been completely revamped. Obviously, at this point, I'm very early on in the game. I don't want to say too much about the Atlas because all the things that I know are from patch notes and from secondhand information. So once I do get to the point where I'm at the Atlas and I'm mapping, I'll make a more comprehensive guide about that because of the fact that it has completely changed. Things move from the inside out now as opposed from moving outward in. And the tiering system, everything works completely different now. If it works the way that I think it works from what I've read, I believe it will be a bit more beginner friendly and it'll be easier to scale up through the Atlas. We'll see over time, but I do believe that this is a positive change in the long run. Now, along with the new content update, bosses have admittedly become, I guess, a bit more difficult. Some have gained some new moves, some of them have gotten a damage increase, and pretty much all of them have gotten a health increase. So admittedly, you're going to need to gear up a bit better and be efficient with your builds. But so far, at least early on, I haven't really seen too much difficulty with it. I've been running an arc build. I've been having a ton of fun. Arc feels really, really great since they buffed the distance on it. And I've kind of been rolling through bosses without a whole lot of issue. With the new league, Metamorph League, I love what they've done here. So last league, there was a lot going on the screen. There were a ton of enemies. There was tower defense. There were a bunch of effects, and it really bogged the game down. The game struggled. It would crash. It would blue screen. This league kind of caters to the opposite. So basically, you're fighting one boss that you create from parts that you pick up from monsters that you defeat throughout the different areas. And once you defeat that boss, you're given rewards, just like any other normal boss you'd fight throughout the game. So instead of throwing a lot of garbage on our screen and a lot of mobs, a lot of special effects, and all this other garbage, we're just fighting one boss. Everything's very centralized, very simplistic. The way that it works in a bit more detail is when you enter an area, you'll see little icons on your mini-map or your overhead map. And those will be enemies that potentially, if you defeat, they'll actually drop a different body part. Once you've gathered all the body parts that are required in order to create your own Metamorph, Tane Octavius will show up. He'll just kind of teleport there with his machine, and you'll then get to pick from the parts that you've gathered so far in that area, put together your own Metamorph, and then battle it right there on the spot. You'll see some different options. Different parts will have different rarities, which will determine, 1, the difficulty of the Metamorph that you create, and 2, the rewards that you get from defeating that Metamorph. There are also some special parts that will actually specify specific rewards that they will drop once you defeat the Metamorph. Now, these can range from rare armors and jewelry to Parandus coins or even unique items in some instances. As I said, I really like this mechanic. I feel like it's very beginner friendly. I feel like it is very console friendly. It's not hampering down performance, but it's also fun, and most importantly, it's rewarding. You don't feel bogged down by doing this, because these enemies that you find on the map, you don't even necessarily have to seek them out. You're going to naturally run into them as you progress through different areas, as you're traversing different areas. And each area is going to give you different parts. Once you enter a new area, you're going to have basically a clean slate where you gather new parts and create a new monster. I really think it's a lot of fun, and I think they've done a really good job with trying to find something that would still keep PC players interested while not making things overly crowded and cluttered so that console could also enjoy the new content itself. So I guess the big question is, at the end of the day, early impressions. If you haven't played Path of Exile yet, is it worth picking up? If you've been taking a break from Path of Exile, is it worth jumping into this new content? Is it worth jumping into this new league? And for me so far, it's a resounding yes. I'm having so much fun with the small changes that they've made to the game with the content update, even just in the early game. I'm having a ton of fun with the new Metamorphs. I'm actually progressing through this game super slow right now because I'm having so much fun experimenting with all these different Metamorph parts and the league mechanics. They're simplistic, but there's still a lot to do within the system itself, which I think is perfect. It's something that when this game really nails, it really nails it. There's a lot of different systems in this game that are overly complicated. I've made videos on the past on a lot of them, so it's really refreshing to have something that's so simple and straightforward being added in for this league. So that kind of wraps up my opinions. I'll kind of keep this updated as I get further into the game. I'll be making some more guides based on some of the different content. The Atlas, like I mentioned, is going to be a big one. The same as just the Metamorph content in general, and different intricacies of the system that I may not have run into yet. So I do hope you'll stick around, check out future videos. If you have any questions about any of the other different mechanics of the game, I've probably made a video on it in the past, so if you search through my page, you should find something that'll hopefully help you there. As always, everyone's always welcome to ask questions down in the comments section. In the link below, I do leave a link to our PS4 community that I've created for everyone, our Discord, which admittedly doesn't really get used a whole lot. If you do use our Discord, please make sure to tag me in whatever you're asking me, otherwise I won't see the notification. Aside from that, my Twitch is down there as well, but most of my content does come through YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really appreciative of all my viewers, all my subscribers. It's so awesome that you guys take time out of your day to come watch my videos, and I hope you find them helpful and informative. So, until next time, may the RNG be with you, always.